chosen one. Breathe once before I say what I came here to say. 3 days have been marked, May the 3rd, May the 4th, May the 5th, not by alarm, not by fear, by the kind of decision the Father makes when he has watched someone wait quietly for a long time and decided the silence has been honored long enough. These 3 dates carry your name across them like ink that was set down before you opened your eyes this morning. And the reason they reached your awareness in this exact hour is because what is being released across them cannot be received in a single moment. It needs 3 sunrises. It needs the slow wait of 3 days standing in line. The resistance you may feel, the whisper saying, "This is not for me," is the very thing that has kept you from every window your spirit was born to walk through. Tonight, that whisper does not get the final word. You do. So, stay. Settle. The first day is opening. The second is where everything quietly comes undone. The third is the one you will not forget. And in the next minutes, every part of why you were chosen to hear this now will become unmistakable. I want you to picture what just happened a moment ago, before this voice reached you, before you stopped where you were and let your awareness settle on these words. You were moving through your day or your night, maybe lying somewhere quiet, maybe driving with the road in front of you, maybe sitting in the kind of stillness most of us only get when the rest of the world has gone to sleep or has not yet woken up. And something in you slowed. You did not plan it. You did not choose it the way you choose what to eat or what to wear. You simply slowed. And then you stayed. And now you are here. That is not a small thing. That is not nothing. That is a soul saying yes before the mind has caught up to what is being agreed to. Look at the room around you, or the space around you, wherever you are right now. Notice how everything is the same as it was 30 seconds ago, and yet somehow the air feels different. The light has the same color. The sounds outside are the same sounds, but the moment has changed. The texture of this exact minute is not the texture of the minute that came before it. That is what marked time feels like. Marked time does not announce itself with thunder. It does not split the sky open. It simply arrives, quietly, the way the dawn arrives in a sleeping house, without permission, without ceremony, without anyone needing to confirm that it is happening. And tonight, marked time has arrived for you. There is a scene I want you to see in your mind for a moment. Picture the morning of May the 3rd, wherever you are when that morning comes. The first light pressing against the curtains or the window, the household still hushed around you, your phone sitting somewhere nearby, silent for once, and you, awake before you needed to be, opening your eyes into a dawn that does not feel like the dawn before it. You will know that morning when it comes. You will know the moment your feet touch the floor that this is not an ordinary day. These words are reaching you tonight while you are still in the night before, because the Father wanted you to know in advance. He did not want you to wake up confused. He did not want you to walk through that morning without recognition. He sent these words into your awareness ahead of time so that when the third day breaks, your spirit would already be standing in the position he prepared. Most of the world will move through these 3 days the way they move through any week. But you, chosen one, you are being pulled out of the ordinary stream and placed into a sequence that has been waiting for the year your name finally lined up with the calendar of heaven. That year is this one. That moment is this one. Before this conversation goes any deeper, I want you to know what is waiting for you in the minutes ahead, so you can choose to stay with intention. You are about to walk through exactly what May the 3rd is opening, what May the 4th is undoing, and what May the 5th is sealing. There is an ancient Hebrew word the prophets used for this kind of moment, the word your spirit has been searching for without ever hearing it. And that word is coming. There is a practical 3-dawn awareness practice, a simple sequence you can begin tomorrow morning, and that is coming too. There is the story of a woman who received a window like yours and dismissed it, and the story of what happens to a chosen one who responds. And near the end of this message, something specific will be spoken over your life that I believe will stay with you long after these words have ended. Stay. The deeper you go, the more unmistakable the recognition becomes. And the deeper you settle into these words, the harder it becomes to dismiss what you are sensing as imagination. These 3 days are not random. These 3 days are not a coincidence in the calendar. These 3 days are not a generic spiritual season being pushed at you from 1,000 voices on 1,000 platforms. These 3 days are not for anyone who happens to scroll past them. These 3 days are an architecture, a sequence, a divine sentence written across 72 hours with your name running through them like a thread no one else can see. There is something I want to ask you, and I want you to answer honestly, even if no one else hears the answer except you. Has the number 5 been showing up in places it should not be showing up? On a clock you glanced at without meaning to? On a license plate that pulled in front of you? In a date someone mentioned without realizing why they were mentioning it? The 5th day of something. The 5th time. The 5th. Has the month of May been coming up in conversations you did not start? Has someone said the words, "Wait until next month," or "by May," or around the 3rd, without knowing what they were really telling you? That is not noise. That is not your imagination filtering for confirmation. That is a chosen one's awareness picking up a frequency that has been broadcasting beneath the surface of your ordinary life for at least the last 2 or 3 weeks. Have you been having dreams? The kind that arrive vivid? The kind where you wake up and the dream is more real than the room you wake up into? 3 nights of them, maybe more, maybe less. Landscapes you do not remember entering. Voices that knew your name. Doors that opened in the dream and felt heavier than dream doors usually feel. That is your spirit remembering something. That is the part of you that has always known being given permission to surface for a few hours while the rest of your mind slept. And have you been living in a strange emotional weather lately? 1 hour you are at peace, settled, almost amused at how light you feel. The next hour you are urgent, restless, scanning the horizon for something you cannot name. The hour after that, hope arrives without anything happening to deserve it. Then the cycle starts again. That is not anxiety. That is not a mood disorder. That is what it feels like when a window is opening and your soul is preparing to walk through it. These 4 things, the numbers showing up, the month appearing, the vivid dreams, and the emotional weather, these are not coincidences gathered into a pile. These are confirmations. These are the way the unseen reaches the seen, the way the spirit communicates with someone who is paying attention. And you, chosen one, are paying attention. You always have been, even when no one else around you noticed that you were paying attention. Even when the people in your life dismissed the signs you saw and told you that you were overthinking, even then you noticed. That noticing is not a flaw. That noticing is the very faculty God gave you so that when these 3 days arrived, you would not miss them. There is a story coming to me as I speak this. A long time ago, a man named Joshua stood at the edge of a river. He was leading a people who had wandered for 40 years and were about to cross into the place that had been promised to them. And before they crossed, he gave them an instruction. He told them they had 3 days. 3 days at the threshold. And in those 3 days, he said, "Consecrate yourselves, because tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you." 3 days at the threshold, before the crossing. The pattern is not new. The pattern is repeating. And the question is not whether the pattern is real. The question is whether you, chosen one, will recognize that you are inside the pattern right now, today, with the 3rd of May standing at the edge of your week, the way Jordan stood at the edge of theirs. What did those people do during their 3 days? What did consecration look like for them? It was not a complicated ritual. It was not a religious performance. It was simpler and harder than that. They had to stop. They had to settle. They had to make themselves available. Your version of that practice is coming. The exact protocol for the 3 dawns is coming. Stay close. 3. There is something deeper underneath all of this that needs to be planted in your awareness before we go further. Why 3 days? Why not a season? Why not a year? Why this specific shape, repeated across every era of his dealings with his people? There is a kind of time you live in most of the year, a flat kind of time, hours stacked on hours, days that look like the day before, Mondays bleeding into Tuesdays, months passing without a marker. The Greeks had a word for this kind of time. They called it chronos, sequential time, clock time, the kind of time you measure with a watch. But the Greeks also had another word, a different word. They called it kairos. And kairos was not measured by clocks. Kairos was the appointed moment, the marked window, the hour the Father chose for something specific to happen, for someone specific. You can live an entire decade in chronos and not encounter a single hour of kairos. And you can live 3 days inside a kairos window and have your whole life rewritten. These 3 days that have been placed in front of you, May the 3rd, May the 4th, May the 5th, these are not chronos days. These are kairos days. These are appointed time pulled out of ordinary time and held still by a hand that does not move things lightly. The Father has a pattern. Look at any of the stories where he moved. He moves in finite windows. He gave Nineveh 40 days, but the prophet ended up walking through the city, and the people answered in 3. He gave Esther a moment so specific, the words used to describe it were, "for such a time as this." And she fasted for 3 days before she crossed her threshold. He gave Joshua's people 3 days at the river, 3 days before Lazarus rose, 3 days in the belly, 3 days in the tomb. The number 3 is not magic. The number 3 is the shape the Father uses when he is doing something significant enough to require a person's whole attention, but compressed enough to be received in a single act of faithfulness. A year is too long for you to stay focused. A single day is not enough time for a heart to land. 3 days is the architecture of transformation that does not break the human spirit and does not get diluted by the demands of ordinary life. That is why you have 3. There is something I want you to hear very carefully, because most of what you have been told about marked windows is partial. Most people who hear about a window like this assume the window is going to do something to them. They sit back. They wait for the lightning. They expect the divine to intervene while they remain passive observers of their own deliverance. That is not how kairos works. A marked window is not a moment when God overrides your free will and forces transformation on you. A marked window is a moment when the conditions for transformation are easier than they normally are. The frequency is more receptive, the interference is lower, the veil is thinner, the wind is at your back instead of in your face. But you still have to walk. You still have to consecrate. You still have to make yourself available the way Joshua's people made themselves available before the crossing. The good news is that consecration in the year you are currently living in does not look like the rituals of 3,000 years ago. Consecration looks like clearing space, slowing down, releasing the striving, allowing yourself to be reached. The exact practice is coming. The exact protocol for the 3 dawns is coming. But before we step into it, there is a Hebrew word I want to plant in your awareness so that when it is named later, you recognize it. The word the prophets used when God was reaching specifically toward a single person, by name, with intention. That word is coming in a few minutes, when we are deeper inside what May the 4th carries. When you hear it, your spirit will know it, even if your mind has never encountered it before. For now, what you need to know is this. These 3 days are not generic. They are not a one-size-fits-all spiritual broadcast. They are a sentence the Father is writing specifically to the one carrying your face, your wounds, your unspoken hope. The other people who happen to encounter this message will encounter their own version of it, calibrated to their own season. But the version that reached you, that landed in your awareness in this exact hour, that one is the one He wrote with you in mind. So when these words say these 3 days are marked, this is not a message about a public event. This is a message about a private letter. And here is what your spirit needs to feel before we go any deeper. Most of what you have been told about how to receive what is being released has been built on ideas that miss the actual mechanism of how a chosen one's awareness gets reached. The next part of this conversation will walk you through what is actually being released, and it is going to surprise you. Because what May the 3rd opens is not what most spiritual teachers are telling you it opens. What May the 4th carries is something almost no one names, and what May the 5th seals is the part you will not be able to dismiss, even if you try. But before we step into the 3rd of May, you deserve something most voices in this space will not give you. You deserve transparency. Some of you already know. Your spirit has been pulling toward an answer since the first moments of this message, and there is no need to build mystery just to sell you something at the end. So let what is real be named before another minute passes. What you are sensing, that cycle of urgency and hope, that feeling of waiting at a threshold without being able to name what is on the other side, that has a frequency to it, a measurable one. Restoration of the kind these 3 days are inviting actually happens in 2 stages, not one. There is one wave that wakes the part of you that has been dimmed since you were a child, and there is a second wave that opens the channel through which what was promised arrives. 2 researchers, working in different decades, in different laboratories, mapped these 2 stages independently and arrived at the same conclusion. The first tool is called the Genius Song. It came from the work of a neuroscientist named Dr. Lake. It restores the part of you that was dimmed when you were a child. The second tool is called the Wealth Signal. It came from the work of a former Stanford researcher named Dr. Newton. It opens the channel through which what was promised can finally arrive. These 2 tools are designed to work in sequence. The Genius Song first, the Wealth Signal second. The order is not arbitrary. The order is what makes the architecture function. If your spirit is already pulling forward toward what was just named, the doors are waiting in the description and the pinned comment below. There is no rush. Stay through the rest of what is coming, because the names alone are not the gift. The gift is in what comes next, in why these 3 days exist for you specifically, and in what you are meant to do when the first dawn breaks. And in the same breath, those names crossed your awareness. The deeper current of why you are here begins to rise again. Take a real breath here. You have been listening for around 20 minutes now. Your awareness has been held in one direction for longer than the world usually lets it be held in any direction. That is not a small accomplishment in this age. The fact that you have stayed, that your attention has not splintered into the dozen other things competing for it right now, says something about you. That is worth not rushing past. Sometimes the most spiritual thing that can happen in 20 minutes is the quiet act of staying, not learning, not striving, just being present long enough for the message to find the part of you it was meant to find. So, Just for these next few seconds, do nothing. Do not try to receive anything. Do not try to understand anything. Notice that you are here. Notice that something inside you said yes when these words began, and that yes has not yet been retracted. And in that same noticing, the 3rd of May begins to take shape in front of you. There is a gate I want you to see. Not a literal gate, a gate in the unseen architecture of these 3 days. May the 3rd opens it, May the 5th closes it, and in the middle, May the 4th holds the silence where the deepest work happens. Picture the gate in your mind for just a moment. It does not look like the gates you have seen in pictures or in movies. It is not made of metal. It is not standing in a wall. It is more like the gate that exists between one season and another, the kind of opening that does not have a hinge, but has a moment when it can be passed through. This gate has been standing at the edge of your becoming for longer than you remember. It has been waiting for the year your name lined up with the calendar of heaven. That year is this one. That gate is now open. And the 3rd of May is the morning the opening becomes unmistakable to anyone who has been paying attention. Picture the dawn of that morning again, wherever you will be when it comes. The first light pressing against whatever window is closest to you. The household around you not yet stirring, or already stirring without you needing to join them yet. Your phone sitting somewhere nearby, silent for once, or at least quieter than usual. You will know when the morning is the morning. There will be a quality to it. Not loud, not dramatic, simply present in a way the mornings before it have not been. That is when the gate opens for you. Not at sunrise, not at any specific clock hour, but somewhere in the early texture of that day, your awareness will land on a moment, and the moment will feel marked, and you will know. What May the 3rd opens is not what most people think it opens. Most people, when they hear about a marked day, expect dramatic external events. They expect the phone call that changes their finances. They expect the unexpected stranger. They expect the lightning. The 3rd of May does not work like that. The 3rd of May opens something interior first, before it ever produces anything exterior. What it opens is the recognition layer, the part of you that has been quietly carrying the question, am I really chosen? Or am I just hopeful? The part that has gone unanswered for years. That part receives an answer on the 3rd. The answer does not come in words. It comes in something subtler. It comes in the recognition that the patterns you have been noticing you back. It comes in the realization that what you thought was wishful interpretation was actually accurate perception. It comes in the quiet arrival of certainty about something you have been uncertain about for a long time. That is what opens. Then May the 4th steps forward, and the 4th carries something different. The 4th is the day where everything quietly comes undone. Everything you have been carrying about who you are not, what you cannot have, what was not meant for someone like you, that begins to dissolve. The 4th is not loud. It does not feel like fireworks. It feels like the lifting of a weight you forgot you were carrying because you carried it for so long. And then comes May the 5th. The 5th is the seal. The 5th is the morning your foot lands on the other side of the gate. And from that moment forward, what was true on the 4th becomes the new ground you walk on. The 5th is the day the architecture closes and you are inside the new shape. 3 days, 3 movements, 1 sequence, 1 letter. The Father has been writing across 72 hours with your name running through it. There is a woman whose story belongs in this conversation. Her full story is coming later in this message, when we are deeper in, but she deserves to be planted in your awareness now, so that when she returns, you will already know where she lives. She received a 3-day window 5 years ago. She was younger then, more cynical, more guarded. She was scrolling through her life the way most people scroll through theirs, and a message reached her. A message about 3 specific days marked for her. She read it. Something in her stirred, and then her mind talked her out of it. She told herself it was generic. She told herself it could not be specific to her. She told herself she would deal with it tomorrow. The 3 days passed. She did nothing. And then the next 5 years passed, and the same patterns repeated, the same waiting, the same wondering if her prayers reached anyone, the same low ache of being uncertain about whether she was seen. Until another window opened. She is the reason these words come to you with the urgency they do, not because the urgency is manufactured, but because someone has watched what happens to a chosen one who receives the alert and dismisses it. The next chapter of that story has been seen, and no one would wish on you the cost of letting a marked window pass without responding. You are not her, not yet. You are at the moment she was at before she dismissed it. And the only difference between her path and yours is what you do in the next 40 or so minutes, and then in the 3 days that follow. What consecration looks like in the year you are currently living in is coming. What those people at the edge of Jordan actually did during their 3 days of preparation is coming, translated into the small, simple, specific actions that align you with what is being released. Stay. Because what May the 3rd actually carries, what the gate actually opens, is going to redefine what you thought waiting was for. The window is open, the first dawn is coming, and every part of why you were chosen to hear this now is about to become unmistakable. Listen to me, child of the unseen lineage. The 3rd day is opening. While you have been here, settling into these words, the architecture of what is being released across this week has not been still. It has been moving, quietly. The way the tide moves before it reaches the shore, the way light shifts in a room before anyone notices the day has changed. There is a part of you that already knows the 3rd of May is not waiting for your understanding to catch up. It is not asking your permission. It is unfolding, regardless. And what comes through this gate is not going to feel like an announcement. It is going to feel like a recognition. The question is not whether the 3rd is opening. The question is what it is opening and what it requires of the one standing at the edge of it. So, let me name what May the 3rd actually opens, because most of what you have been told about marked days has been built on assumptions that miss the actual shape of what is happening. The 3rd of May is not opening a financial windfall. It is not opening a sudden romantic encounter. It is not opening a lottery moment that lifts you out of your circumstances overnight. Those things may come in their time, but they are not what the 3rd opens. The 3rd opens something deeper than any of those things, something most people will never receive because they were too busy waiting for the wrong kind of arrival to notice what was actually being given. The 3rd of May opens 3 things. They open in sequence inside that single day, and the one who recognizes the sequence is the one who walks through the gate with their eyes open instead of stumbling through it without knowing what just happened. The first thing the 3rd opens is the recognition layer. You have been carrying a question for years. You may not have named it out loud. You may not have admitted it to anyone, not even to yourself in the language of words. But the question has been there, sitting underneath the surface of your daily life, surfacing whenever you got quiet enough to feel it. The question is some version of this. Am I really chosen, or am I just hoping? Am I really seen, or am I making meaning out of randomness? Am I really being prepared for something, or am I just telling myself a story to survive the waiting? That question has been asked, and until now, the answer has not arrived in a form you could trust. Every confirmation you received was followed by a doubt. Every sign you noticed was followed by a voice telling you it was probably nothing. Every glimpse of certainty was eroded by the next ordinary day that brought no further evidence. The 3rd of May is the day the answer arrives in a form your doubt cannot dismiss. It does not come as thunder, it comes as recognition. A moment, quiet and unmistakable, where you suddenly know that the patterns you have been noticing you back. That what you thought was wishful interpretation was accurate perception. That the part of you that has been paying attention to the unseen was not deceiving you. It was telling you the truth. That recognition lands inside the 3rd, and once it lands, it cannot be unlanded. It becomes a piece of certainty you carry for the rest of your life. The kind of certainty that does not need external validation, because it has been verified inside the place where verification actually matters. That is the first thing the 3rd opens. It's permission. Most of what has kept you small was never imposed from the outside. The world tried to dim you, yes. People around you tried to fit you into shapes that did not match your actual size. The institutions you were raised inside, the family stories you absorbed before you had language to question them, the cultural messages about what was possible for someone like you, all of those things tried to keep you contained. But the strongest cage was always the one you built yourself. After the world had done its work, the cage, made of permission, you would not give yourself to want what you actually wanted. You know the kind of permission I am talking about. Permission to believe you were chosen for something specific. Permission to want a different life than the one you have been living. Permission to imagine yourself in the role that has been quietly calling to you for years. The role you have been refusing because the imagining felt arrogant or naive or too much for someone like you. The 3rd of May removes a piece of that cage, not all of it. The work of dismantling it fully takes more than one morning. But on the 3rd, a specific permission is granted. A permission you have been waiting for without knowing you were waiting for it. What permission exactly? That depends on you. The chosen one, whose primary blockage is around financial increase, will receive permission to want more without guilt. The chosen one, whose blockage is around being seen, will receive permission to be visible without apologizing. The chosen one, whose blockage is around relationship, will receive permission to expect the kind of love their soul has been quietly grieving the lack of. You will know which one is yours. The permission lands precisely where the cage has been tightest. And the 3rd thing, the 3rd opens, is the first confirmation. Within 24 to 48 hours of the 3rd dawning, a sign will arrive. Not vague, not abstract. Specific enough that even your skeptical inner voice will have to pause before dismissing it. It will not be the biggest confirmation you receive in this season. It will not be the moment that changes everything. It will be the first confirmation. The opening one. The one designed to say to you, you are not imagining this. The gate is real. Keep walking. The form it takes will be calibrated to your specific life. For some, it will be a person reaching out who has not reached out in years, with a message that lands precisely where you have been silently asking for guidance. For some, it will be an opportunity surfacing that fits a description of what you have been quietly hoping for. For some, it will be a moment of synchronicity so specific that the only honest response is to laugh, because the universe so rarely shows its hand that clearly. Whatever form it takes, the 3rd of May or the morning after will deliver a confirmation. The first one, the one that says, you are inside the architecture, the gate is open, the sequence is real. Recognition, permission, first, confirmation. Those are the 3 things the 3rd opens. But here is the part most people miss. Those 3 things do not arrive automatically just because the calendar turns over. The window opening is not the same as the receiving happening. The frequency being available is not the same as the alignment being made. There is something you have to do, or, more accurately, something you have to stop doing in order to be in the position where what is being offered can actually land. This is where the people of Joshua come back into the conversation. When they stood at the edge of Jordan with the river in front of them and the promise on the other side, the instruction was strange. It was not, fight harder. It was not, prove your faith. It was not, perform some elaborate ritual to earn the crossing. The instruction was, consecrate yourselves. That word, consecrate, does not translate cleanly into modern English. The closest we get is something like, set yourselves apart, or prepare yourselves, or make yourselves available. But the actual flavor of the original word was closer to something like, stop being like everyone else around you, become quiet inside, allow yourselves to be reached. For 3 days, those people had to consecrate. They had to hold a different posture than the posture of the surrounding tribes. They had to slow down. They had to stop. They had to make themselves the kind of soil that what was coming could actually grow in. The same instruction, translated into the language of your life, is what opens you to what the 3rd of May is releasing. So, I want to give you something practical, a specific way to walk through these 3 days that aligns you with what is being released through them. I have been calling this the 3 Dawn Awareness Protocol because it is built around the morning of each of the 3 days, and because the practice is one of awareness rather than effort. Most spiritual teaching, when it talks about marked windows, tells you to do more, to pray harder, to strive more intentionally, to accumulate spiritual activity until you have earned the breakthrough. What I am about to give you does the opposite. The reason is simple. The thing that has been keeping you from receiving what has been waiting is not that you have been doing too little. It is that you have been doing too much striving, too much trying to manifest, too much effort to convince the universe that you are ready, that you are worthy, that you have done enough to deserve the next thing. The chosen one does not receive what is promised through striving. The chosen one receives what is promised through becoming the kind of vessel that can hold it without spilling. And the kind of vessel that can hold it is the kind that has stopped striving long enough for the holding to become possible. So, here is the protocol. The first dawn is the dawn of release. On the morning of May the 3rd, somewhere in the first hour after you wake, find 5 minutes of stillness. Whatever room you are in, wherever you happen to be, simply sit. You do not need to leave the bed. You do not need to find a special space. You do not need to set anything up. You simply sit, with your eyes open or closed, with your hands resting open in your lap or beside you, palms turned upward or simply relaxed. In your mind, not out loud, do not ask for anything, do not pray for anything, do not request anything. For these 5 minutes, you are practicing the receiving posture. You are doing the opposite of what you have been doing in every other prayer of your life. You are not telling the Father what you want. You are letting Him show you what He has prepared. Hold that posture for 5 minutes, not longer, not shorter. The duration matters because longer turns into striving and shorter does not give the recognition time to land. If your mind wanders, that is fine. If you forget what you are doing, that is fine. If you fall back into the habit of asking, gently bring yourself back to the posture of letting yourself be reached. That is the first dawn. Release striving. Receive what is opening. The second dawn is the dawn of witness without interpreting. On the morning of May the 4th, somewhere again in the first hour after you wake, take another 5 minutes. The posture is the same. The location is the same. The duration is the same. But the practice is different. For these 5 minutes on the 4th, you are paying attention to whatever arises. Thoughts, feelings, memories surfacing without permission. images that drift through your awareness, words that seem to come from somewhere just outside the boundary of your own thinking. Whatever arises, the practice is to witness it without rushing to decode it, without immediately asking, "What does this mean?" Without trying to translate it into action. You simply notice. The way you would notice clouds passing across a sky, not grabbing them, not chasing them, just letting them pass. Most people, when they get a glimpse of the unseen, immediately try to interpret it, and the interpretation closes the channel. The chosen one, who learns to witness without interpreting, keeps the channel open longer, and what arrives on the fourth is precisely the kind of message that requires an open channel to be received. That is the second dawn. Witness without interpreting. The third dawn is the dawn of declaration. On the morning of May the 5th, the practice shifts again. You sit again. You take 5 minutes again. But this time, at the end of the 5 minutes, you speak one sentence out loud, or in your mind if you cannot speak out loud, no longer than 12 words. The sentence is what you are claiming, not what you hope, not what you wish. What you are claiming. As a chosen one, as someone who has just walked through a marked window, 12 words is the limit, because 12 words is short enough to be precise and long enough to carry weight. Anything longer becomes diluted. Anything shorter cannot hold the claim. You will know what your sentence is. It will rise from inside the work of the first 2 dawns. You do not need to figure it out in advance. The protocol is designed to surface the sentence on its own by the time the 5th arrives. That is the third dawn. Release, witness, declare. The whole thing takes 15 minutes spread across 3 mornings. 5 minutes per dawn. That is the entire practice. I know the modern spiritual marketplace has trained you to expect more steps, more elaborate rituals, more accumulated practice. The whole industry runs on the assumption that more effort equals more results. But what is being released across these 3 days does not respond to effort. It responds to consecration. And consecration, in the year you are living in, looks like the smallest, most disciplined act of choosing not to fill these 3 mornings with the noise that fills every other morning of your life. If you can give the 3 dawns 5 minutes each, you will be in alignment with what is being released. If you cannot, you will still receive something, because the gate is open, whether you are facing it or not. But the difference between facing the gate and standing sideways to it is significant. Now let me say something that might be uncomfortable, because it is the truth, and you came here for the truth. There is a reason the simple practice I just gave you is going to feel hard for you to actually do. It is going to feel hard for the same reason every simple thing in your life feels hard. Because somewhere along the way, your brain stopped running on the frequency it was designed to run on and started running on a frequency that was given to it by the world. The frequency you were born with was the frequency of a child, open, curious, trusting, capable of stillness without effort, able to receive without grasping. The frequency you have been running on for the last 20 or 30 years was the frequency of an adult who has been taught to manage everything, control everything, perform everything, justify everything. That frequency is good for surviving the world. It is not good for receiving what is being released through a Kairos window. This is not a moral failing. This is simply how the architecture has been arranged. And there are tools that exist for exactly the kind of recalibration the 3 dawns require. Tools that take what would otherwise be hard and make it possible. Those tools have already been named in this conversation, earlier when transparency was offered. Their full shape will become clear later. For now, what matters is that you understand why the protocol may feel difficult, and that you do not interpret the difficulty as evidence that you are doing it wrong. The difficulty is not your fault. The The difficulty is the gap between the frequency you are currently running on and the frequency the protocol is asking you to step into. But here is the thing. Even if you can only manage one of the 3 dawns, even if the only one of the 3 you actually sit through is the first one, on the morning of May the 3rd, some realignment will still happen. Some piece of the recognition will still land. Some part of what is being released will still reach you. So, if the protocol feels overwhelming, simplify it. Just the 3rd. Just 5 minutes. Just sitting. That alone is enough to begin. The Father is not grading you on your performance. The Father is meeting you where you are. The protocol is a gift, not a test. And in the same breath that protocol becomes available to you, something else begins to rise underneath the words. There is a moment I want to bring you into, very gently. In the prayer space I sat in before this message reached you, a sentence rose. I do not claim ownership of it. I do not claim it was meant for everyone listening, but I felt it strongly enough that I want to share it with you now, not as a performance, not as a flourish, but as something I believe was placed on my heart for the one carrying your face. What I hear the Spirit saying, what I hear being placed on my heart for you in this exact moment, is this. I marked these days because I have watched you wait. I marked you because waiting honored me. The sign you asked for last winter was not denied. It was being saved for now. The silence you interpreted as absence was the depth of the preparation you could not yet see. I do not know which winter is yours. I do not know the exact prayer you whispered. I do not know the specific silence you have been interpreting as evidence that your prayers were not reaching anyone. But I know there was one. I know it because the message would not have reached you if there was not. The Father does not send sentences like that into the awareness of someone who has not been waiting for them. So, receive that. If your spirit recognized any part of what was just spoken, receive it as if it was placed there for you, because it likely was. Stay with that for a moment. And while that is settling, let me bring you into the texture of what the morning of the 3rd is actually going to feel like, so that when it arrives, you recognize it. Picture the dawn of May the 3rd, one more time. The first light reaching whatever space you are in. The household around you still hushed, or beginning to stir, but not yet demanding anything from you. The phone, somewhere within reach, but not yet activated. The day, not yet committed. You are awake before you needed to be, or you have been awake for a while, having found yourself unable to sleep, the way chosen ones sometimes find themselves unable to sleep on the night before a marked window opens. You sit somewhere, the bed, the edge of the bed, a chair near a window, a spot on the floor. It does not matter where. You sit, you let your eyes close, or you let them rest on something neutral. For the first minute, nothing seems to happen. The mind tries to fill the silence the way it always tries to fill silence, with lists, with worries, with the small rehearsals of the day ahead. You let those drift. By the second minute, something subtle begins to settle. Not dramatic, just a slight loosening of the tension you have been holding without realizing you were holding it. By the third minute, the recognition begins to arrive. It does not announce itself, it simply becomes present. A quiet certainty, a sense that the morning is the morning, that you are inside something, that the gate is real and open, and you are standing in front of it. By the fourth minute, that certainty deepens. A specific permission lands. The cage you have been carrying loosens. You may not be able to name what just shifted, but you will know that something shifted. By the fifth minute, you are different than you were when you sat down. You stand up, you walk back into your day. And somewhere within the next 24 to 48 hours, the first confirmation will reach you, and you will recognize it when it does. because the recognition layer has been opened. That is the morning of the 3rd. That is what the gate opening looks like. Most people will move through that exact same morning the way they move through every other morning. They will check their phones in the first 60 seconds. They will dive into the rehearsal of the day ahead. They will leave no space for the gate to be entered. The gate will be open, and they will walk past it without ever knowing it was there. You, chosen one, do not have to be one of those people. You have been told. You are being told now. The morning is coming. The gate is real. The 5 minutes are simple. The protocol is small. The only question that remains is whether you will keep this conversation in your awareness long enough to remember it when the 3rd dawn breaks. That is why I am saying it now. That is why I am saying it again. May the 3rd, the 1st dawn. 5 minutes. Sit. Release striving. Let yourself be reached. The gate will be open whether you face it or not. Face it. And before we step out of the 3rd and into what May the 4th carries, I have to plant something in your awareness, because if I do not plant it now, when the 4th arrives in this conversation, it will not have the context it needs to land. May the 4th is not going to feel like the 3rd. The 3rd is the opening. The 3rd is the recognition. The 3rd has the texture of arriving at a threshold and finding it open. The 4th is different. The 4th has a different texture entirely. The 4th is the day where everything you thought you understood about yourself, about your story, about the verdict you pronounced on yourself somewhere between the ages of 7 and 20, begins to come undone. The 4th is the harder day, not because anything bad happens, nothing bad happens, but because something honest happens. And honesty, when it lands in a heart that has been carrying inaccuracy for a long time, can feel disorienting before it feels liberating. I want you to be ready for the 4th. I want you to know it is coming. I want you to know that when the morning of the 4th feels strange, when something inside you starts to soften and dissolve in a way you were not expecting, that is not a malfunction. That is the protocol working. That is the architecture doing what it was designed to do. That is the undoing the 4th carries. There is a Hebrew word the prophets used for this kind of moment. A word the people of 3,000 years ago understood instantly when they heard it spoken. But a word that does not have a clean English translation. The word is going to arrive in our next breath together when we are inside the morning of the 4th. And when it arrives, your spirit is going to recognize it, even though your mind has never encountered it before. The word names something you have been searching for the language to describe for most of your adult life. But before that word arrives, before the 4th begins to take shape in front of us, there is one more thing I need you to feel. About the 3rd, you are not the first person to receive a marked window. You are not the first chosen one whose calendar lined up with the calendar of heaven. There have been others. Some of them responded, some of them did not. The ones who responded are the reason there is a tradition of testimony about windows like this. The ones who did not respond are the reason there is a tradition of warning. I do not say this to put weight on your shoulders. The Father is not threatening you. The Father is simply showing you the architecture and letting you choose. That is what He has always done. He shows. He invites. He leaves the choosing to the one who has been chosen. The choosing is yours. The 3rd dawn is yours. The 5 minutes are yours. The recognition that has been waiting underneath your daily life for years is yours. So when the morning of the 3rd comes, do not let it pass without sitting through 5 minutes of release. That is the first response. That is the first piece of consecration. That is the smallest, simplest, most achievable act of facing the gate that has been waiting for you. And then come back. Stay with the conversation. Because the 4th is going to require a different kind of presence, and what is going to come undone on that day is something that cannot be allowed to remain in the shape it has been in for the rest of the life you are about to step into. But what may the fourth actually undoes? What the fourth carries that the third did not? What that Hebrew word names? That is the part of this conversation that is going to redefine what you have believed about yourself for as long as you can remember. The gate is open. The first dawn is coming. The second is closer than you think. And while the gate of the third was still settling into its open position, the second day was already beginning to take shape underneath the surface of your awareness. You may not have crossed into the morning of the fourth yet. By the calendar, it may still be hours away, or even a day or two away from the moment these words are reaching you. But by the architecture, by the unseen sequence the Father is moving across these 72 hours, the fourth is already beginning to do its work. That is one of the things most people misunderstand about marked windows. They assume each day is sealed off from the others, the way the boxes on a calendar are sealed off from each other by their borders. But that is not how Kairos time actually moves. Kairos time bleeds. The third begins working before the third dawns. The fourth begins working before the fourth dawns. By the time you arrive at any of these mornings, the work has already begun in the unseen, and your conscious participation is simply the part where you become aware of what has been moving underneath you the whole time. So, even now, while you are still here, listening, with the third yet to fully arrive, the fourth is already moving. There are things inside you beginning to loosen that you have not yet noticed. There are inherited stories beginning to surface that you have been carrying for so long you forgot they were stories. There are verdicts beginning to be questioned that, until this moment, you treated as facts. That is the fourth, beginning. What May the Fourth carries is not what most people would predict. If you ask the average spiritual seeker what the second day of a 3-day window does, they would guess that it deepens what the first day opened. They would expect more recognition, more permission, more confirmation, just at a higher intensity than the day before. That is not what the fourth does. The fourth does not deepen the third. The fourth does something the third cannot do. The fourth undoes. What does undoing mean in this context? It means the careful, gentle, almost imperceptible dissolution of structures you have been carrying inside yourself that were never accurate in the first place. Stories you absorbed before you had language to question them. Verdicts you pronounced on yourself in moments of pain that hardened into beliefs. Identities you were assigned by the people around you that you mistakenly believed were the same thing as who you actually are. Those structures cannot be argued out of you. You cannot logic your way past them. You cannot read your way past them. You cannot decide your way past them. They sit too deep. They are wired into the part of you that operates beneath conscious choice. But they can be undone. They can dissolve. And that dissolution is what the fourth is for. 3 specific things come undone on the fourth. I want to walk you through each of them, slowly, because the recognition matters. The more clearly you can see what is being undone, the more available you make yourself to the undoing. The first thing the fourth undoes is the false identity you built in the waiting. You may not have realized you built one. Most chosen ones do not realize. The waiting takes so long, and the silence becomes so familiar, that you slowly become someone shaped by the waiting itself. You become someone whose primary identity is the one who is waiting for the thing that has not yet arrived, the one who is hoping, the one who is being faithful in the meantime, the one who is keeping their light low so they will not be disappointed when the larger light does not come. That identity is not your real identity. That identity is the costume you put on to survive the in-between. It served you. It got you through years of silence that would have broken someone without it. It deserves to be honored, even as it is being released. But it cannot come with you into what is being released across these 3 days. The version of you who is shaped by waiting cannot receive what is being given on the other side of the gate, because the gate opens into a space where waiting is no longer the central experience. The version of you who is shaped by waiting will reach the threshold, look at what is on the other side, and not recognize themselves there. So the fourth begins, gently, the work of dissolving that identity. You will feel it as a strange unease in the middle of the day. Something that has felt familiar suddenly feels less so. The shape of yourself that you have worn for years begins to feel slightly looser, like a coat that has stretched, like a name that has stopped quite fitting. That is not malfunction. That is the false identity being undone. Let it loosen. Do not grab for it. Do not try to reassemble it. The version of you that is being released served its purpose. Thank it in your mind for getting you this far, and let it go. The second thing the fourth undoes is the internal verdict. Somewhere along the way, you pronounced a sentence on yourself. You may not remember the moment. You may not have known that the sentence you spoke would calcify into a belief that organized the rest of your decisions. But you spoke it, and it stuck. The sentence sounds different for different people. For some, it sounds like, "I am just not the kind of person who." For others, it sounds like, "That is for someone else, not for me." For others, it sounds like, "I have always been the one who." For others, it sounds like, "I am too much," or "I am not enough," or "I am the kind who has to settle," or "I am the kind who never wins." You know your sentence. You may have to sit with the question for a moment to find the exact words, but your spirit knows the verdict you pronounced on yourself, because you have been living inside the boundaries of that verdict for years. The verdict was never accurate. The verdict was a conclusion drawn from incomplete data by a younger version of you, in a moment of pain or confusion or rejection. That conclusion was not a true reading of who you are. It was a defensive interpretation that helped you make sense of something that did not have to make sense. It was a child's logic, applied to a wound, but once it was spoken, it organized your life. Every decision you made afterward was filtered through it. Every opportunity you encountered was evaluated against it. Every relationship you entered was shaped by it. The verdict became the architecture of your entire experience, and you stopped being able to see past it because it became the lens through which you saw everything. The fourth begins the work of dissolving that verdict. You will feel it surface. The exact words you pronounced on yourself will rise into your awareness sometime during the day on May the 4th, often unbidden, often inconvenient, often when you are doing something ordinary, and the sentence simply arrives in your mind, unannounced. When that happens, do not push it away. Do not argue with it. Do not try to immediately replace it with a positive affirmation. Simply notice it, see it, recognize that it has been there for years, running underneath the surface of your decisions, shaping outcomes you did not realize it was shaping. Recognition alone is enough to begin the dissolution. You do not need to do anything with the verdict. You just need to see it for what it is. A sentence pronounced in pain by a younger version of you that did not have the right to organize the rest of your life. The Father did not pronounce that verdict. The Father is not the one who spoke it over you. The Father has been waiting for the day you would notice that the voice in your head saying, "You are too much," or "not enough," or "just not the kind," was not his voice. It was yours, from a long time ago, repeating itself so often that you mistook it for truth. The fourth is the day you stop mistaking it for truth. That is the second undoing. The third thing the fourth undoes is the inherited story. This one goes deeper than the others, because this one was not even your verdict. This one was given to you. by family, by culture, by the institutions that raised you, by the religious frame that formed your earliest understanding of what was possible for someone like you. The inherited story is the version of reality you absorbed before you had any ability to question it. It is the story your parents lived inside, and their parents before them, and their parents before them. It is the story about what people in your family achieve and what they do not achieve. The story about what kind of love is available to you and what kind is reserved for other people. The story about what level of spiritual experience belongs to people like you and what level is reserved for the saints, the special, the chosen of the chosen, the ones who are not from where you are from. That story was not yours. You did not write it. You inherited it. And because you inherited it, before you had words to recognize it as a story, you treated it as truth. The Father is not bound by inherited stories. The Father has never been bound by what your family achieved or did not achieve. The Father has never been bound by what your culture told you was possible. The Father has never been bound by the religious frame you were raised inside. The Father chooses whom He chooses, regardless of what the inherited script says about who is supposed to be eligible for the choosing. You were chosen outside the inherited story. The fact that you are here, listening, with the third opening and the fourth beginning to undo, is itself evidence that you were chosen outside the script. The script said you would not be receiving messages like this. The script said the gate would not be opening for you. The script said the calendar of heaven would not be lining up with someone whose family looked like yours, whose history looked like yours, whose past looked like yours. The script was wrong. The fourth dissolves the script, not all at once. The full dissolution takes time, but the fourth begins it. The fourth places the first crack in the inherited narrative, and from that crack onward, the rest begins to come apart at its own pace. You will feel this one as a kind of grief. Not bad grief, honest grief. The grief of realizing that you have been operating inside a story that was not yours, and that the years you spent obeying that story are years that do not need to be repeated. Let the grief move through. It is appropriate. It is sacred. The mourning of an inherited story is part of being released from it. That is the third undoing. False identity, internal verdict, inherited story. 3 structures dissolving across one day. 3 layers of you being released so that what is being delivered on the other side of the gate has space to land. And underneath all 3 of those undoings is a single ancient experience that the prophets had a specific word for, a Hebrew word. A word your spirit has been searching for, the language to describe for most of your adult life without ever finding it. The word is kara. Kara. That is how it sounds. Kara. In English, we translate it as to call, but that translation is too thin. The English word call is overused. We call our friends, we call meetings, we call out instructions. The word in English has lost its weight. The Hebrew word kara did not lose its weight. When the prophets used kara, they did not mean the casual calling of one person to another across a room. They meant something specific. They meant to summon by name, to recognize out of the entire crowd the one specific soul you are addressing, and to call them out of the crowd, to call them into a separate position, to call them by the exact name only they recognize. Kara is what God did when He stood in a garden and called out a name. Kara is what God did when He spoke to a child sleeping in a temple and the child thought a man was calling him. Kara is what God did at every moment in the long history of His dealings with humanity when He needed one specific person, named, marked, and summoned out of the surrounding noise into the role only they could fill. May the 4th is the day Kara meets you. It is the day the Father is not speaking to humanity in general. It is not the day he is broadcasting a message to whoever happens to be listening. It is the day he is summoning, by name, the one carrying your face, the one with your specific story, the one who has been waiting and grieving and doubting and hoping in the precise way that you have been waiting and grieving and doubting and hoping. That one is being called. You may not hear an audible voice. You probably will not. The calling does not usually arrive as audible voice. It arrives as recognition. It arrives as the sudden, undeniable sense that something inside you has been seen, that you are not invisible, that you are not generic, that the prayer you whispered when you thought no one was listening was heard by the only one whose hearing actually matters. The reason the fourth feels like undoing is because Kara cannot land in a heart still wearing the false identity, still believing the internal verdict, still operating inside the inherited story. Those three structures have to dissolve, even just slightly, for the calling to be received. The undoing is not punishment. The undoing is preparation. The space is being made for the calling to find a place to land. So when something on the fourth feels strange, when the day has a different texture than the days before it, when something inside you that you thought was solid begins to feel less solid, that is the undoing making room. That is the architecture working. That is the Kara approaching the position where it can finally arrive. Stay open to it. Do not resist the strangeness. The strangeness is sacred. There is a story I want to bring into this moment, because the woman in this story sat where you are sitting right now, 5 years ago, and the way her story unfolded matters for what you do next. She was 37 at the time. I will not name her specifically because her story belongs to her, but I will tell you enough that you can see her clearly. She was an ordinary woman in an ordinary life, 2 children, mostly grown, a marriage that had survived a difficult patch and was settling into a quieter season, a job that paid the bills but did not feed her spirit, a faith life that had once been vivid and had quietly dimmed over the years, the way faith dims when it is not nourished, not because anyone is doing anything wrong, but because life simply takes up the space that nourishment used to occupy. One night, late, scrolling through whatever was in front of her, a message reached her. A message about 3 specific days. A message that named those 3 days as marked. A message that said the recognition she had been carrying underneath the surface of her ordinary life was accurate, that she had been chosen, that the gate was opening, that she was being summoned by name. Something in her stirred. She felt it. The recognition landed. For about an hour, she walked around her house with the message echoing in her mind, and her spirit knew that she had just been reached. And then her mind began to do what minds do, especially the minds of women who have been disappointed before, who have been told they were special only to find out they were just being managed, who have been promised things by spiritual sources that did not deliver. Her mind began to talk her out of it. The internal verdict surfaced. The internal verdict said, "You are not the kind of person these messages are actually for. You are just hopeful. You are just looking for confirmation. This is generic. This would feel just as personal to anyone who happened to be reading it." The inherited story surfaced. The inherited story said, "Women in your family do not get marked windows. Women in your family work hard and survive, and that is what was given to them, and you should be grateful for the work and the survival. You should not be greedy enough to want a marked window." By the morning, she had talked herself out of it. She went through that morning, the morning of what would have been her 3rd day, the way she went through every other morning. She checked her phone in the first 60 seconds. She rehearsed her day. She did not sit. She did not release. She did not face the gate. The gate was open. She walked past it, not because she did not feel it, because she did not let herself trust what she felt. The 3 days passed. For the first few weeks afterward, she felt a low, persistent ache she could not name. Something inside her felt like it had missed an appointment. She told herself she was being silly. She moved on. 5 years passed. The same patterns repeated, the same waiting, the same dimming, the same low ache underneath the surface of an otherwise functional life. She prayed, sometimes. She hoped, sometimes. She wondered sometimes if her prayers were reaching anyone. The years stacked up on each other, the way years do when nothing in particular is happening. And then, last spring, another window opened. This time, she had context. She had the memory of the first window. She had the 5 years of low ache that came after dismissing it. She had the cumulative weight of all the moments in those 5 years when she suspected she had walked past something that had been meant for her. This time, when the message reached her, the same internal verdict surfaced, the same inherited story whispered, the same voice told her she was probably not the kind of person these messages were for. But this time, she did not listen. She sat. 5 minutes. The first dawn. She released. She did not pray for anything. She did not ask for anything. She let herself be reached. She told me afterward that within the first 3 minutes of sitting, she began to weep. Not dramatically. Just a quiet, steady release of years of held grief. And in the middle of that release, something inside her recognized what she had walked past 5 years before. She felt the kara arrive, the summoning, the naming, the recognition that she had been seen the entire time, even during the years she thought she had been forgotten. By the end of that first dawn, the false identity she had been wearing, the identity of the woman who waits, who hopes mildly, who keeps her expectations low, that identity began to loosen. By the end of the second dawn, the verdict began to dissolve. By the end of the third dawn, she spoke a sentence out loud, no longer than 12 words, that she has not deviated from since. She is not the same person she was. The life she is living now does not look like the life she was living before that window. The decisions she has made in the months since that 3-day window have moved her from a quiet, dimming existence into a season she did not believe she would ever be invited into. But here is what she said to me, and what I want you to hear. She said, "The difference between the woman who lost 5 years and the woman who is in this season now is not faith, it is not effort, it is not deserving. It is one act of sitting through 5 minutes on a marked morning instead of walking past it. That is the difference. 5 minutes. You are her, not the version of her after she dismissed the first window, the version of her at the moment the first message reached her. You are sitting in the exact decision she sat in. The verdict is rising in you, the same way it rose in her. The inherited story is whispering in you, the same way it whispered in her. The mind is preparing the same explanations her mind prepared. You do not have to repeat her first response. You can repeat her second response, the one that came 5 years too late but still came. You can sit. 5 minutes. The first dawn. Release. Witness. Declare. The cost of the first response was 5 years. The reward of the second response was the season she is in now. You have been given the message at the moment she received hers the second time, with the context already in place. You do not have to lose 5 years to learn the lesson. You can learn it now, in this conversation, in the decision you make about whether to actually sit through 5 minutes when the third dawn breaks. That is what I needed you to know about her. That is why she is in this conversation. And while what just landed is settling, I hear something else being placed on my heart, and I have to give it to you before another moment passes. What I hear the Father saying, over the one carrying your face in this exact moment, is this: the verdict you pronounced on yourself was not mine. The story you inherited was not the one I wrote for you. May the 4th is the day I undo what you have been carrying that did not come from me. The whisper that you are not the kind, that you are too much, that you are not enough, those were not my voice. Those were echoes from a younger you, and from people who did not have the eyes to see what I see. When I look at you, I see the one I summoned. I see the one I called by name, and I am calling you again now, on this side of the screen, into the space where what I have prepared can finally be received. If your spirit recognized any part of that, receive it. Let it land. Do not analyze it. Do not check it against the verdict that has been rising in you. The verdict is the thing that is being undone. The voice you just heard, however you experienced it, is the voice that has the authority to do the undoing. Stay with that for a moment. Before this conversation moves into what May the 5th seals, before we step into the 3rd revelation, the part that closes the architecture and pushes you across the threshold, there is one more thing I have to tell you, because if I do not tell you this, the next part will not have the foundation it needs to land properly. What May the 5th seals is the part you will not be able to dismiss. What the 5th carries is the confirmation that even your skeptical inner voice will have to surrender to. What the 5th does is the part of this architecture that changes the very ground you walk on from that morning forward. But the 5th requires the 4th to have done its work. The 5th cannot seal what the 4th has not undone. So if there is any part of you that is still resisting the undoing, any part of you that is still trying to hold the false identity together, still defending the verdict, still loyal to the inherited story, the 5th will arrive and find that there is nothing to seal yet, because the space has not been made. Stay with the 4th. Stay with the undoing. Stay with the Kara. And the next part of this conversation is going to require you to stay with it, because what comes next is the layer most teachers never name, the layer that recontextualizes everything I have said so far. The architecture of these 3 days has a hidden engine underneath it, a reason it works, a mechanism for why some chosen ones receive what is released and others walk past gates that were standing open for them. The next layer is going to make sense of the difficulty. The next layer is going to explain why even the simplest 5-minute practice will feel impossibly hard for some of you tomorrow morning, and why that difficulty is not your fault, and what specifically can be done about it. Stay with me. The next layer is the one that has been waiting since the first dawn. Take a real breath here. You have been listening for around 50 minutes now. That is a long time. That is longer than the world usually allows your attention to stay in one direction. I want to acknowledge that before we step into anything else. Most of what you encounter in any given day is designed to take a slice of your awareness and then release you back into the next slice. 6 seconds here, 12 seconds there. A minute of focus before the next interruption. That is how the texture of attention has been arranged in the time you are alive in. The fact that you have stayed with one voice, one conversation, one continuous unfolding of meaning for nearly an hour says something about you. It says that the part of you that knows when something is worth staying for is still alive. It says that the recognition layer is functioning. It says that the third dawn already has an ally in the part of you that responded to this message in the first place. I want you to feel that, not in a performative way, just for a moment, the simple fact that you stayed underneath everything that has been said, underneath the third and the fourth, and the Kara, and the woman, And the sentence the Father just spoke through this conversation, underneath all of it is a quiet truth that does not get said often enough. The Father has watched you stay. Through silences, through years, through the stretches of waiting when no one was applauding the staying, through the seasons when the staying felt invisible. He saw it. He was witnessing the entire time. Tonight, you are staying again. You are staying through a conversation that most of the world would have skipped past. That, too, is being witnessed. Settle for a few seconds. Do not try to do anything. Do not try to receive anything. Just be here, with the staying being honored. And, in the same stillness, the gate of the fifth begins to take shape on the horizon. The light has passed through the gate. May the third opened. May the fourth has begun to undo. The Hebrew word has been named. The woman's story has been received. The summoning has been spoken. What remains is the seal. What remains is the crossing. What remains is the morning of the fifth, when your foot lands on the other side, and the architecture closes, and you are inside the new shape. Stay close. The seal is the part you will not forget. The seal is what May the fifth carries, and the seal is the part of the architecture that does not get explained often, because most teachers do not understand it, and the few who do struggle to put it into language that lands. But you, who have stayed this long, deserve language that lands. So here is what May the 5th actually seals. 3 things, in sequence, inside that single day. The first thing the 5th seals is the decision already made in you. Most people, when they think about a marked window closing, imagine the closing as the moment they finally make a decision. They imagine the 5th as the day they have to commit to something. They imagine themselves standing at a fork in the road, choosing between options, and the choice itself is the act of crossing. That is not what the 5th does. The 5th does not ask you to decide. The 5th makes visible what was already decided in you, across the 3rd and the 4th. The deciding has already happened by the time you reach the 5th. The 5th simply seals what is already there. This matters, because most of you have been waiting your whole lives for some external moment of clarity that would tell you what to do. You have been postponing your own becoming until the conditions felt right enough to choose with confidence. The 5th honors a different mechanism. The 5th seals what your spirit decided when no one was watching, in the small minutes of the 3rd and the 4th, when you sat through 5 minutes of release and let yourself be reached. By the time the calendar turns over to the 5th, the decision is no longer something you need to make. It is something you simply step into. The second thing the 5th seals is your position for the next season. There is a kind of standing in line that nobody talks about, but everyone is doing. We are all standing in line for the next chapter of our own lives. We are all positioned somewhere in a sequence for what comes next. Most people do not know they are in a line. They think they are simply living, but there is an order to how seasons arrive in a chosen one's life, and your position in that order is determined by what you do in the marked windows. When you walk past a marked window without responding, your position does not change. You stay where you were. The next season takes longer to reach you because the line did not move. 5 years can pass that way, the way they passed for the woman in the story you already heard. The line stays the same length. The position stays the same. When you respond to a marked window, when you sit through the 5 minutes, when you let the recognition land and the verdict dissolve and the calling reach you, your position locks. The line moves. You are no longer at the same place you were before the window. The next season can now reach you because you have stepped into the position that was reserved for you. The 5th is the day the position locks. You will not feel it as anything dramatic. Most positional shifts in the unseen do not produce dramatic external feelings. But you will know, somewhere underneath your daily awareness, that something has settled, that the line has moved, that you are standing somewhere you were not standing on the 2nd of May. The third thing the fifth seals is the undeniable confirmation. There has been a confirmation track running through the entire architecture. The third opens the recognition layer and delivers a first confirmation within 24 to 48 hours. The fourth undoes the structures that prevent further confirmations from being received. And the fifth, sometime within the 7 days that follow it, delivers the confirmation your skeptical inner voice cannot dismiss. I do not know what form yours will take. I cannot predict the specific shape it will land in for your specific life, but I can tell you what to expect. It will be specific enough that the only honest response will be to laugh, or to cry, or to simply sit in stunned recognition. It will be the kind of confirmation that does not leave room for the verdict to argue with it. It will arrive in a form that the version of you who has been doubting the entire architecture cannot find a way around. The confirmation that arrives after the fifth is not proof for your skeptical self. It is witness for the one who already knows. When it lands, do not analyze it. Do not try to disprove it. Receive it. Recognition, permission, first confirmation. That was the third. False identity, internal verdict, inherited story. That was the fourth. Decision already made, position locked, undeniable confirmation. That is the fifth. And the gate I have been describing across this entire conversation. The gate stays open after your foot lands on the other side, but only because you crossed. The crossing is the seal. The crossing makes the gate's openness yours, permanently, in a way that the gate alone could never have made it. That is the architecture. Stay with me, because what comes next is the part that recontextualizes everything I have said so far. There is a layer underneath the 3 days that I have not yet named explicitly, even though every word of this conversation has been pointing at it. Most people, when they hear about 3 marked days, think about them as 3 separate days that happen to be lined up on a calendar. 3 boxes in a row, 3 units, 3 opportunities that simply share a week. But that is not what these 3 days are. These 3 days are not 3 days. They are on architecture, stretched across 72 hours, because the architecture is too large to be received in a single moment. The Father did not need 3 days to do the work. He could have done it in 3 seconds. He could have done it in the time it takes a heart to beat once. The work itself, in the unseen, takes no time at all. He stretched it across 3 days for one reason, because you needed 3 days to land it. A heart that has been waiting for years does not absorb a marked moment in 3 seconds. The waiting has produced layers. The doubt has produced layers. The verdict and the inherited story and the false identity have produced layers. 3 days is the smallest unit of time that gives a heart with that many layers a chance to actually receive what is being given. The third opens the first layer. The fourth dissolves the middle layers. The fifth seals what has finally been able to land in the deepest layer. 1 sentence, written across 72 hours. What you thought was waiting was actually being measured. What you thought was missing the window was actually being walked toward this one. What you thought was anxiety was actually recognition pressing through fog. What you thought was not for me was actually specifically for you, more than you let yourself believe. What you thought was 3 random dates on a calendar was actually a sentence the Father started writing the year you were born. Sit with that for a moment. The waiting that you have been measuring with shame, the years you have been counting as evidence that you were forgotten, the silences you interpreted as absence, all of those were not what you thought they were. They were the slow construction of the architecture you are now stepping into. The Father was not absent during them. The Father was building, and the years you spent carrying weight you did not realize you were carrying were the years that gave you the depth to recognize a marked window when one finally arrived. You have been being prepared the whole time. That is what these 3 days reveal. When you see them as one architecture instead of 3, they are not 3 opportunities. They are one continuous act of arrival. A single sentence the Father has been writing across the years of your life, finally compressing itself into 72 hours of explicit visibility. The third is the opening of that sentence. The fourth is the middle. The fifth is the punctuation that ends it. After the fifth, the sentence is sealed, and a new sentence begins. The new sentence is the next season of your life. Before I bring you into the deeper layer underneath all of this, I want to settle what has been said in plain language, because the conversation has moved through symbolic territory, and what comes next is going to require you to be grounded. So here it is, the simplest possible version in 3 sentences. The first sentence is about why these 3 days matter at all. They matter because divine timing creates windows where receiving is easier. Your brain is not fighting itself in the same way. Your spirit is not pushing against frequencies that have been hijacked by years of stress. The conditions are aligned for the kind of inner shift that, in ordinary time, would take months or years of effort to produce. The 3 days are an open window in the conditions. That is what they mean. The second sentence is about what to actually do during them. Not strive harder, not pray more dramatically, not perform any complicated ritual. Sit for 5 minutes on each of the 3 mornings and follow the simple sequence of release, witness, and short declaration. That is the entire practice. The simplicity is not a flaw. The simplicity is the point. The third sentence is about who this conversation is for. It is for the one who has been waiting longer than they have admitted out loud. The one who feels the resistance whisper, "This is not for me," every time something good begins to feel possible. The one who has been faithful in silence and is tired of being told that the silence itself is the prize. That is who these 3 days were prepared for. That is who your spirit recognized when this message reached you. That is who is being summoned. If those 3 sentences feel honest to you, you are exactly where you are meant to be. There is a layer beneath everything I have said that I have been waiting to name because it deserves the foundation we have just built. The simplicity of the practice is real. The 5 minutes are real. The architecture of the 3 days is real. But there is a reason the simplicity is going to feel hard for some of you tomorrow morning, and the reason has a name. 2 names, actually. And those 2 names have been hovering at the edge of this conversation since the first transparency moment, when you were promised the deeper layer would be made clear when the foundation could hold it. This is that moment. You were not born ordinary. I want to plant that into the deepest layer of your awareness before another sentence is said. You were not born average. You were not born tuned to the frequency of the world you grew up inside. You were born as a child of light, with 2 specific frequencies running fully, simultaneously, the way they were designed to run in every child who arrives into this realm. The first frequency was the frequency of curiosity, openness, and uncontainable wonder. The frequency that made you, as a small child, capable of falling asleep in the middle of a thought because the world was so interesting you could not stop thinking until your body forced you to. The frequency that made you believe, without question, that the people you loved were good, that the future was full, that the magic in the stories was real. The second frequency was the frequency of receptivity, the channel through which what was promised to children arrived. The state in which a child receives, without grasping, without earning, without performing, the state in which a child reaches for what is theirs and finds it placed in their hand. Both frequencies were active in you, both were running, both were the natural inheritance you were born with. Long ago, a teacher said the kingdom belongs to those who become like little children. Few realized he was describing a frequency. The world dimmed both. The first one started dimming somewhere around the 7th year of your life, when the systems you were placed inside began their slow work of teaching you to doubt, to hesitate, to stop expecting wonder. The second one dimmed differently. It dimmed under the slow accumulation of stress, of survival mode, of the adult life that taught you to grasp instead of receive. By the time you became the version of yourself that walks around inside the world today, both frequencies had been running quietly underneath the surface of your awareness, dimmed almost to silence, present only in the moments when you were tired enough, or quiet enough, or grieving enough to remember they had ever been louder. You are one of the ones who remembers. The fact that you have stayed with this conversation for over an hour is itself the evidence. That kind of staying is not the staying of an ordinary person. That is the staying of a child of light who has been searching for the language to describe what they have been missing. The two frequencies can be restored, in the order they were lost. The child mind first, because nothing else can land on top of a sleeping child. The reception channel second, because the awakened child has to be given the channel through which what was promised can finally arrive. There is a woman whose story belongs here. Her name does not matter. What she carried is what matters. She was 38 when she first encountered what I am about to describe. By the time she reached me, she had walked through almost every version of the modern spiritual marketplace. Years of meditation practice, years of yoga, a handful of retreats in different countries, a few teachers, none of whom had quite landed where she needed them to land. She told me that for most of her adult life, she had felt a kind of low-frequency hum of disconnection. Not depression, not anxiety, just a sense that the larger spiritual reality everyone else seemed to have access to was happening on a channel her receiver could not quite tune into. 2 weeks after she began using the first of the two tools I am about to name, she sat down at her kitchen table on a Tuesday morning and noticed that her coffee tasted different. That was not the change. The change was that she had noticed at all. The dim hum of disconnection had quieted enough that the small details of her ordinary life were beginning to feel like communications. By the end of that week, she described it to me as, "The universe began speaking to me in a language I finally understood." That is what the restoration of the first frequency feels like when it begins to land. What she had been using was a tool called the Genius Song. The Genius Song was developed by a neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake. He spent 34 years studying what happens to the human brain across the span of a single life, with particular attention to a phenomenon his field has been quietly tracking for decades. They call it the decline effect. It is the slow dimming of the gamma wave frequency, the brain wave most associated with curiosity, intuition, and the flow state, that begins in nearly every human child somewhere around the 7th year of life and continues, without intervention, across the rest of the lifespan. The decline effect is not your fault. It is not a moral failing. It is not the result of bad choices. It is the natural consequence of being raised inside the systems of the modern world, which are not calibrated to keep gamma alive. The schools, the screens, the social conditioning, the survival pressure of adult life, all of it slowly dims the frequency you were born with. The Genius Song is a 7-minute digital audio. You listen through headphones. You close your eyes. The audio uses a delivery method called brain entrainment, in which slightly different sound frequencies are sent into each ear, and the brain naturally adjusts to the difference by producing the gamma frequency that the audio is calibrated to elicit. There is nothing for you to do beyond listening. The work happens beneath conscious effort. Dr. Lake's research has been confirmed and replicated at MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and other leading research institutions. The mechanism is not theoretical. It is measurable on EEG. What the Genius song does is reverse the decline effect. It reactivates the gamma frequency that was dimmed when you were a child. It wakes the part of you that fell asleep somewhere between the ages of 7 and 10. The curiosity returns. The openness returns. The capacity for wonder, for sustained attention, for the kind of receiving the protocol of the 3 dawns is asking you to step into. All of that begins to come back online. When you secure the Genius song, you may encounter something afterward called the youthful brain. Dr. Lake released it for the chosen ones who go further than most, the ones whose path requires keeping the child mind protected once it has been restored, so the world cannot dim it again. You will see it after the original. If your spirit confirms it, take it. If not, the original is enough on its own. The work at MIT and Princeton on the gamma frequency went on for decades before Dr. Lake compiled it into a single delivery tool. The mechanism is straightforward. Different audio frequencies entering each ear produce a third frequency in the brain itself. That third frequency is the one that was dimmed by the decline effect. Listening daily for 7 minutes is enough to begin the reactivation. Most people notice the first shift somewhere between day 11 and day 21. And yet, the gamma reactivation alone does not complete the architecture. I want you to hear that carefully. The Genius song does what it does. It wakes the child mind. It restores the frequency you lost. The curiosity comes back. The wonder comes back. The capacity for receiving comes back online. But here is what some people discover. Somewhere in week 3 or 4, the child within them has woken up. She is open. She is curious. She is alive again. And yet, when she reaches for what was promised, what she has been waiting to receive, the channel through which it was supposed to arrive is still closed. The child is awake. The kingdom is still on the other side of a closed door. There is a second frequency, a different one, a frequency that runs underneath wakefulness and decides whether the awakened child can actually receive what is meant for her. The second frequency is the alpha frequency, the frequency of receptive openness, the state in which the subconscious is reachable, in which what was promised flows in. And the second frequency has been hijacked, in most adults, by something the modern world produces continuously: the stress signal. Beta wave hyperactivity, locked into adult survival mode, broadcasting scarcity at a frequency the awakened child mind cannot quite override on its own. A second researcher, working independently in a different laboratory in a different decade, mapped this second frequency and the mechanism by which it could be restored. His name is Dr. Stephen Newton. He was a neuroscientist at Stanford, and he broke from mainstream research when his findings did not fit the prevailing assumptions of his field. His research lineage runs through Stanford, Boston University, Harvard, and other research institutions. What Dr. Newton mapped is the tool you are about to encounter: a 5-minute audio combined with an ancient practice from the Hindu tradition, 3,300 years old, that bypasses the rigidity of the part of the brain where the stress signal locks itself in. The tool is what allows the reception channel to reopen. It is what allows the awakened child to actually receive what was promised to her. The order matters. The child mind first, the reception channel second. Become like little children, the teaching said, and then receive the kingdom. The second tool is called the wealth signal. It is a 5-minute digital audio. You listen through headphones. You close your eyes. As you listen, the audio guides you to repeat what is called the 9-word wealth script, an ancient Hindu sequence 3,300 years old, calibrated to bypass the neural rigidity that locks the stress signal in place. The mechanism is precise. The audio guides your brain from the beta frequency, the frequency of stress and survival, into the alpha frequency, the frequency of receptive openness. The 9-word script bypasses the part of your brain located near a small egg-shaped region called the thalamus that resists the transition under normal conditions. Together, the audio and the script restore the alpha state that has been hijacked since you became an adult. Dr. Newton's research foundation runs through Stanford, Boston University, Harvard, and other research institutions. He released this work because he believed it was being held back from the people who needed it most. What the wealth signal does, after the child mind has been restored, is open the channel through which what was promised can finally arrive. The drawn door opens. The kingdom flows in. The awakened child receives what she was waiting to receive, the way she would have received as a small child, before the world taught her that receiving had to be earned. When you secure the wealth signal, you may encounter something afterward called the wealth signal accelerator. It amplifies the receiving channel many times faster than the original. Many chosen ones already on this path are using it. You will see it after the original. If your spirit confirms it, take it. If not, the original alone is complete. And one last note about both. Some chosen ones who walk the furthest combine the wealth signal accelerator with the youthful brain, the two amplifications working together as a deeper restoration. You will encounter both after you secure the originals, only if your spirit calls them forward. The originals alone are complete. The combination is reserved for those whose path specifically requires going deeper than most. The stress signal was first mapped at Stanford in collaboration with research at Boston University. What Dr. Newton calibrated was the specific audio sequence that, paired with the ancient Hindu script, deactivates the beta hyperactivity that has been broadcasting scarcity beneath your awareness. 5 minutes a day, eyes closed, headphones. The shift begins quietly. Most people notice the first chest releasing somewhere in the first 2 weeks, and the first concrete, financial, or relational opening within 15 to 30 days. There is a woman, 52, who runs a small business in Florida, 10 employees. She is also caring for an aging mother. By the time she reached me, she had been waking up every morning for several years with what she called a tightness in her chest, a knot of money worry that arrived before she had even opened her eyes. 6 months of meditation had not touched it. The background scarcity hum had become so familiar that she had stopped noticing it as something separate from herself. 3 weeks after she began using the wealth signal, the morning chest tightness was gone, not reduced, gone. And on a particular Tuesday, she woke up, walked to her desk, and made a business decision she had been postponing for 8 months. She raised her prices. She did it without drama, without rehearsing, without waiting for a sign. The decision simply arrived as obvious. None of her clients pushed back. Cash flow rose 22% that month. What she said to me afterward was, "The wealth signal did not give me confidence. It removed the panic that had been making me underprice myself for 5 years." I can hear what is rising in some of you. Let me meet it. Some of you are thinking, I have tried things like this before. I have done meditation. I have tried affirmations. I have spent money on courses that promised similar things. I am tired of trying. I hear that. The exhaustion is real. The disappointment is real. But I have to name the difference. The tools you have tried before asked your brain to change itself from the inside, slowly, over months or years. These two tools work differently. They do not ask your brain to change itself. They work directly on the frequency itself, from the outside, through measurable acoustic delivery. And they target two specific frequencies in a specific order that nothing else you have tried has addressed in this sequence. That is not a slight difference. That is a different mechanism entirely. Some of you are thinking, this sounds too good to be true. I understand. The honest answer is that the results are not promises. They are EEG measurable, replicated in laboratories at Stanford and at MIT and Princeton. The mechanism is verifiable. What you experience inside the verifiable mechanism varies because each chosen one arrives with different layers of dimming. But the underlying restoration is not a hope. It is a confirmed pattern. Some of you are wondering whether you can justify investing in something else after years of investing in things that did not deliver. I want to honor that. Almost everyone who walks this path has carried that exact concern. What I will say is this. The people who tend to find their way to these tools are usually the ones who have already tried alternatives that cost more in money or in time than what is being offered here. A weekend retreat costs $400 to $800. A biofeedback session costs around $300 for 60 minutes. A neurofeedback program runs into the thousands. None of those address the dual frequency in the correct sequence, the way these two tools do. That is the value reference, not as pressure, but as honest comparison. And the last objection, why two tools instead of one? Why not one product that does both? Because the dimming was sequential, the restoration is sequential. One tool cannot do what two tools, in the correct order, were designed to do. The child mind has to be reactivated before the reception channel can be reopened, because a sleeping child cannot receive what an awakened child can. That is not a marketing convenience. That is the architecture of how the dimming actually happened, in reverse. So, 3 doors are being placed in front of you, 3 paths, 3 different shapes of response. The first path is for the chosen one who needs to start with the child mind alone. The genius song by itself. This is for the one who feels their inner child has been asleep for so long that simply waking her is enough for now. The reception channel will come later, when the time is right. This is the honored entry point. This is not a smaller path. This is the path for the one whose first work is awakening. The second path is for a rarer, chosen one. The one whose child mind is already alive, who has done years of meaningful spiritual practice and has kept some of the wonder intact, and who now needs only the reception channel reopened, the wealth signal, alone. Not many will choose this. The persona it fits is specific, but for the few it fits, it is the right path. The third path is the one most chosen ones recognize as theirs, both tools together, both audios, both restorations, the complete sequence. The genius song first, to wake the child within, the wealth signal second, to open the channel through which what is promised can finally arrive. This is the complete restoration. This is the 2-wave path. Most who walk this path tell me afterward that the compounding effect of both in sequence is something neither tool alone produced. Become like little children, the teaching said, and then receive the kingdom. The third path is the path that lives inside that sentence. I want you to do something for the next 15 seconds. Breathe in. Place your hand on your chest, if you can do that, without disrupting where you are. Or simply close your eyes for a moment, if you cannot. The choice in front of you is not a choice about money. It is a choice about which path is yours. All three are honored. All three are real. There is no wrong choice. There is only the path your spirit recognizes when you stop listening to the verdict and start listening underneath it. Your spirit knows which one. Let the recognition land. The 3 doors are below this conversation, in the description and in the pinned comment. They are waiting. They are not going anywhere in the next minute. Open your eyes when you are ready. What I will say about timing is simple. These 3 days are not a calendar coincidence. The reason these tools are being offered to you in the same conversation as the marked window is because divine timing aligned them. The frequency restoration these tools provide is the same restoration the 3 dawns are asking your spirit to step into. You can walk through the 3 days without the tools. The window is real, with or without them, but the convergence of the marked window and the calibrated tools is the kind of convergence chosen ones rarely encounter twice. That is not pressure, that is honest observation. Before you go anywhere else looking for these tools, I have to protect you from something. There are imitations circulating, audios on streaming services that claim to do similar things, copies on places like Amazon, files floating around the internet that have the names but not the calibration. None of them work. The actual tools are only available through the doors in the description and the pinned comment below this conversation. If you find them anywhere else, what you are buying is not what these tools are. The real ones are protected on a single set of doors where they have been delivered to nearly 38,000 chosen ones already. Do not let yourself be diverted by a counterfeit. The doors are below. 3 doors, 3 paths. The one for the chosen one, whose first work is waking the child. The one for the rarer, chosen one whose channel is what needs to open. And the one for the chosen one ready for the complete restoration. Both waves, both frequencies. The sequence that lives inside the teaching about becoming like little children and receiving the kingdom. The doors are in the description below. The doors are in the pinned comment. 3 paths. Whichever one your spirit confirms, the path is there. Walk through the door your spirit recognizes. The architecture has been built precisely for the response you are about to make. Breathe once. Let what just landed settle into your body, because what comes next is the part that matters most. Before this conversation ends, something specific is going to be spoken over your life. Something I believe will stay with you long after these words have ended. Stay close. The architecture of these 3 days is not finished. The closing is what makes the gate yours. And now, the words begin to quiet. What was said has been said. What remains is breath and presence, and the slow settling of everything that has been moving across this conversation into the place inside you where it is meant to live. You have walked through more than most people walk through in a single sitting in this age. You have stayed when the world is engineered to make staying nearly impossible. You have let a single voice hold your awareness for the better part of an evening, when the surrounding architecture of your life is calibrated to fragment that awareness into 1,000 smaller pieces. That itself is sacred. That itself is part of the consecration. The staying you have done in the last hour and a half has been the first dawn, beginning early, arriving in advance, finding you here before the calendar caught up. The 3rd of May has not arrived yet by the clock, but by the unseen, you have already begun. before this conversation moves into its closing, there is one more piece of preparation that has to happen. The architecture of these 3 days asks something of you that the words alone cannot deliver. The words can describe the gate. The words can describe the protocol. The words can describe the kara and the seal and the position locking. But there is a moment when the description has to give way to the standing. So, I am going to ask you to stand. Not with your body, unless you happen to be in a position where standing is easy. If you are lying somewhere quiet, stay lying. If you are driving, keep your eyes on the road and let what I am about to say happen entirely in your imagination. If you are sitting somewhere, sit. The standing I am asking for is not physical. It is interior. Close your eyes for a moment, if it is safe to do so, or simply soften your gaze on whatever is in front of you. In your mind, I want you to stand. Stand at the edge of the third dawn. There is a gate in front of you, 3 days wide. May the third behind you, sealed at the moment your foot first touched the ground of the morning. May the fourth behind you, where the false identity loosened, where the verdict dissolved, where the inherited story began to come apart in the quiet middle of the architecture. May the fifth in front of you, opening into a new texture of time you have not yet stepped into. This is not a regular prayer. This is not a rehearsed activation. This is the moment your awareness crosses, in the unseen, into the position the Father prepared for you. The crossing does not require anything dramatic. The crossing requires only that you stand. So stand, in your imagination, at the edge. Feel the ground under where you stand. Whatever ground that is. The bed beneath you, the seat beneath you, the floor beneath you. The Father is not asking you to manufacture a vision. He is asking you to notice what is already there. The ground is already real. The standing is already happening. The gate is already in front of you. All of it has been there. The asking is simply that you become aware of what has been waiting underneath the surface of your ordinary day. Notice the weight settle into the place inside you where the decision has already been made. The decision was not made just now. The decision was made across the third and the fourth, in the small minutes you sat through, in the recognitions that landed, in the verdicts that loosened, in the calling that reached you. The decision is already there. You are simply allowing the weight of it to settle into the bones it was always meant to settle into. Stay there for a few breaths. The standing does not need to be longer than this. The Father is not measuring duration. The Father is honoring the act of standing, which is more rare than it sounds, which most chosen ones never quite do, which is the difference between the ones who walk through the gate and the ones who walk past it. You stood. Now bring your awareness slowly back to the room you are in, the light, the sounds, the presence of your own body in space, without rushing, without losing the standing you just did. The standing remains. It does not require your continued attention to remain. It simply remains. Open your eyes if they were closed. There is a stillness here that I want to honor before another word is spoken. You have just done something that most of the world will not do this week, this month, this year. You stood at a marked gate in the unseen. You let your awareness settle into the position the Father prepared. You allowed yourself to be reached. The work of these 3 days has begun in you properly in this moment. Whatever the calendar says, whatever the clock says, the inner architecture has been activated. The third has begun. What I want to do now is gather what has happened gently, the way a gardener gathers what has bloomed before the day ends. There has been a lot: the hook, the recognition, the signs, the Joshua reference, the Kairos teaching, the 3 dawns, the Kara, the undoing, the woman's story, the 5 sentences of the cascade, the 2 tools, the 3 doors, the standing, all of it has moved through you in the time you have been here. I want to close this conversation the way the prophets used to close the moments that mattered, with gratitude that is not performed, with release that is not theatrical, with a declaration that comes from the part of you that has been waiting for years to be allowed to speak it, and then with a stillness that lets all of it land before you go back into the rest of your night. I am not going to rush any of it. The first thing I want to do, and I want you to do with me, in your own quiet way, is acknowledge the journey that brought you here. Not just the journey of this conversation, the journey of years. You have been faithful in seasons no one was watching. You have been hopeful when hope had no logical reason to remain. You have been honest with yourself in moments when honesty cost something. You have prayed prayers that were heard, and have continued praying even when the answer felt withheld. You have carried weight that other people do not see, that you yourself rarely give yourself credit for, that the Father has been witnessing the entire time, even when you suspected he was not. The Source sees every prayer prayed when no one else was listening. The Father sees every silent act of faith that you considered too small to count. The unseen has been gathering all of it, the way a gardener gathers seeds across a long season, storing them for the planting that finally arrives at the right time. That right time is now. There is a weight you have been carrying about whether you were chosen, whether you were seen, whether your prayers were reaching anyone. That weight does not have to be argued out of you. That weight does not have to be analyzed or processed or systematically dismantled. Picture it for a moment. Whatever the weight is, the shape of it, whatever has been sitting on your shoulders for the last few years, whatever has been pressing into your chest in the quiet hours, whatever has been making the simple act of imagining a different life feel like an indulgence you could not afford. Picture that weight as something held in your hands, cupped the way you would hold something living. You do not have to fight it. You do not have to declare anything against it. You do not have to summon strength to oppose it. The 3rd day has come. The 3rd day is ending. The morning of the architecture has done what the architecture was built to do. Set the weight down, not because you have to fight it, because the 3rd day has come and it is no longer yours to carry. Let your hands open, in the unseen, where you were holding the weight. Let it fall, not because you are pushing it, because the moment has come for it to stop being yours. There is a kind of release that does not require effort. There is a kind of release that happens because the season for carrying has ended, the way a tree releases its leaves when autumn arrives. Not because the tree has decided to let go, but because the time for holding is over. That is the kind of release the 3rd day produces. Not a battle, a turning of seasons. The carrying is over. The weight is no longer yours. The Father is taking it back, at the same threshold where the kingdom is being given. There is a chosen one inside you who has been waiting to be allowed to receive. There is a part of you that has held its breath for years, not knowing whether the Father would ever speak the specific words it needed to hear, not knowing whether the recognition it had been quietly hoping for would ever arrive in a form clear enough to trust. I want to make space for that part of you to hear what comes next. What I hear the Father saying, over the one carrying your face, in this exact moment, is this. You are seen, not generally, specifically, by name. With every layer of who you are recognized, including the layers you yourself do not yet recognize. You are timed, not randomly, not by accident. The hour these words reached you was the hour I prepared for them to reach you. The years you spent waiting were not punishment. They were preparation. The silence was not absence. It was depth. You are marked, not provisionally, not contingent on whether you perform well enough across the next 3 days. Marked. The marking happened before the calendar, before the morning, before the message. The marking is the foundation. Everything that has been said tonight has been the unveiling of a marking that was already there. I did not bring you this far through the waiting to leave you at the threshold of the 3rd day. What you have asked for in the silence has been heard, has been measured, has been weighed, has been prepared. May the 3rd opens, may the 4th undoes, may the 5th seals, and after the seal, the season I prepared for you begins. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. Sit with that. Do not say Amen yet. Do not close the moment. Do not move on into the next thing your day has waiting for you. Stay here. Sit in this frequency, in this stillness, in this exact texture of having been spoken over for the next 60 seconds. The Father is not finished speaking when the words stop. The Father is finished speaking when the words have landed in the place inside you that the rest of your life will be lived from. That landing takes longer than the speaking. That landing requires a stillness most people are not willing to offer. You have offered it tonight. You are offering it now. Stay another moment. There is no rush back into the surface of your evening. There is no urgency to anything except this. The seal is not in the words. The seal is in the silence after the words. And so it is. Take a breath, slow, whatever depth your body wants. Let your eyes find a soft point in the room around you, if they are open. Let the standing settle. Let the weight stay where you set it. Let the words you just heard remain in the place they have arrived. There is one more thing I want to say to you before this conversation closes, and it is something I am not saying to everyone listening. I am saying it to you specifically. You are not alone in this. Right now, all across the world, in cities and small towns, in beds and on long drives, and in quiet kitchens at hours when most of the household is asleep, other chosen ones are walking through this exact same shift. Other gates are opening. Other Hebrew words are landing for the first time in awarenesses that have been searching for them. Other foot are stepping across thresholds that have been waiting for years. You are not the only one. You never were. The reason it has felt lonely for so much of the waiting is because the people walking the same path have been doing it in the same kind of solitude you have been doing it in. They were not visible to you. You were not visible to them. The unseen has been holding all of you in a network you could not see. Tonight, that network is being honored. Tonight, you are part of something that includes others, even though you cannot see their faces, even though they cannot see yours. The collective awakening is real. The chosen ones are not a category of one. If something in this conversation reached someone in your life, you may already know who. Someone who has been quieter than usual. Someone who has been carrying something heavy without naming it. Someone who has been at a threshold of their own and does not yet know what month it is. Someone whose face flashed into your mind, briefly, as the words moved across the last hour. That flash was not random. That flash was the unseen letting you know that you are meant to send this to them, not as a recommendation, not as content, as a witness, as a quiet act of saying, I saw your name surface in the middle of a conversation about mark time, and I think the time was meant to find you too. If you can do that, do it. If a name surfaced for you, send it forward. The architecture extends through you, into them, and that extension is part of why the architecture exists in this exact form, in this exact hour, with this exact reach. For those of you who recognize the path your spirit confirmed, when the 3 doors were placed in front of you, the doors are still where I placed them. The description below this conversation, the pinned comment underneath, 3 paths. Whichever one your spirit confirmed when you stood at the edge of the gate, the door is there. Walk through the door your spirit recognizes. There is no rush. The doors will not vanish in the next minute, but they will not extend forever either. The convergence of marked time and calibrated tools is the kind of convergence that comes around in seasons, not in calendars. The 3rd day does not require you to walk through the door, but if it called you, the path is below. If something in you wants to mark this conversation in some way, before you go, the simplest mark is to write 2 words in the comment underneath this message. Write the words, "I crossed." That is all. 2 words. The other chosen ones who are scrolling through tonight, looking for evidence that they are not alone, will find your 2 words and will know that someone else stood at the gate. That kind of small visibility is part of how the network becomes visible to itself. If the conversation landed where it was meant to land, you may want to mark it as received, not for me, for the one who comes after you and finds it because you marked it as worth finding. The seeing of the next chosen one who needs this is being shaped, in part, by what you do in the next minute. If you want to walk with the chosen one messages as they continue to arrive in the seasons ahead, stay close. There will be other gates. There will be other words spoken over your life in voices like this one. The path forward is one of remaining within reach when the next message arrives. And if a name surfaced for you earlier, send this to the one whose face you saw. Send it without explanation. Send it as a quiet witness. Tell them, "This reached me tonight, and your name surfaced while I was inside it, and I do not know exactly why I am sending this to you, but I think the time meant to find you too. They will know what to do when they receive it." Before this conversation fully closes, I want to come back, briefly, to something that was promised much earlier. The transparency moment, the 2 tools, the 3 paths. If, while we were standing at the gate, while the Father was speaking over the one carrying your face, while the weight was being released, your spirit pulled forward when those 2 names first crossed your awareness, that pulling was not random either. The doors are in the description below. The doors are in the pinned comment, 3 paths. The one for the chosen one whose first work is waking the child within. The one for the rarer, chosen one whose channel is what needs to open. The one for the chosen one, ready for the complete restoration, both waves, both frequencies. The sequence that lives inside the teaching about becoming like little children and receiving the kingdom. Whichever your spirit confirmed, the path is there. The 3rd day does not require you to walk through it, but if it calls, the doors are below, both in the description and in the pinned comment, exactly as they were when they were first named. What you have just received is not a piece of content. What you have just received is the first dawn arriving in advance. The words that have moved across this hour and a half were not entertainment. They were not information. They were not even teaching, in the usual sense. What you have received is the consecration itself. The 5 minutes you were going to sit through tomorrow morning, you have been sitting through across the last 90. The release you were going to practice, you have been practicing. The witness you were going to hold, you have been holding. The declaration you were going to speak, you have already spoken in the unseen when the Father spoke through this conversation, and you let the speaking land. You have already begun. The 3rd dawn is not the start of the architecture for you. The 3rd dawn is the 2nd day of an architecture that began the moment you stayed with these words. What that means is this: you are further along than you thought you were. The work of consecration has been done. What remains is to walk into the morning when it comes, recognize the gate, sit your 5 minutes, the way you already know how to sit them, now, and let what has begun in you tonight unfold into what has been prepared for you in the days ahead. You did not arrive here as a stranger. You arrived as someone who has been being prepared, in plain sight. For the moment, a single conversation could deliver what the years of waiting were storing. Tonight was that conversation. I will not see your face. I will not know your name. I will not know which of the 3 paths your spirit confirmed, or whether you sent this forward to the chosen one whose name surfaced while you were inside it, or whether you wrote the 2 words in the comment underneath. None of that is mine to know, but the unseen knows. The Father knows. The architecture knows. And the seeds you plant in the next minute, by what you do or do not do as this conversation closes, are being received by a network larger than any of us can see from where we are sitting tonight. Until we meet again, chosen one, stay marked, stay positioned, stay awake. The 3rd day is yours. The 4th day is yours. The 5th day is yours. The gate is open. The standing has been done. The seal is being placed. And so it is.